Oh, good night. Good evening. Welcome to the March 10th Covington City Council meeting. In compliance with state law, City Council special and regular meetings will be held in a hybrid format with in-person, telephonic, and virtual options for public viewing and participation. This meeting is called to order. Krista, will you please take the roll call?
Councilmember Soltis.
I'm here.
Councilmember Wagner.
Here.
Councilmember Hartsock.
Here.
Councilmember Harjahausen.
Present.
Councilmember Reed.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Porter.
Present.
And Mayor Smith. We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Do I have a motion to excuse Mayor Smith?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor of excusing Mayor Smith, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Regan, do we have any changes? Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
moved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Christina and seconded by Debbie to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda has been approved. Next up, item of business is an award ceremony for our volunteer, our youth volunteer, and our commissioner of the year. Council, will you please step to the front of the dais? Sure. Every year, our staff from the city has the privilege of recognizing 3 volunteers within the city of Covington. Tonight, we are going to recognize our youth volunteer of the year, our volunteer of the year, and our commissioner of the year for 2025. So first, we would like to recognize our 2025 Youth Volunteer of the Year, Trisha Cal Lee. If you please come forward. Trisha Lee is an exceptional young leader whose energy, vision, and dedication make her an outstanding candidate for Youth Volunteer of the Year. As chair of the Covington Youth Council, Cal has consistently demonstrated initiative, creativity, and follow-through. Her leadership extends beyond the council with 4 years of active involvement in her school's ASB, multiple clubs and service organizations where she has served as class officer, executive secretary, and executive vice president at Kentwood High School. Cal's peers recognize her collaborative spirit, professionalism, and unwavering commitment to making her community better. She approaches every challenge with thoughtfulness and determination, inspiring others to get involved and lead alongside her. Cal embodies the qualities of a dedicated volunteer, and her passion and leadership continue to leave a meaningful and lasting impact. We appreciate all of the hard work that you've done. Thank you so much. We do have a plaque. Did you have anything you wanted to add, or? You're welcome to sit.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll take a photo.
Yes, you too.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, family or your community can come up. Well, here, you get in with her and we'll get on the side. Go ahead.
Who's close to there? We go. All right. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Great, thank you. And there will be opportunity for more photo ops when we do the reception, so. Okay. Oh.
There you go.
They're probably mine. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Sure. Okay, next we have our 2025 Volunteer of the Year, Daman Katra. We are pleased to award Commissioner Damandeep Katra the 2025 Volunteer of the Year Award. Daman currently serves on both the Covington Economic Development Council and the Planning Commission, where she was recently elected chair by her peers. She is steady, prepared, and consistently engaged on both roles. She shows up, listens carefully, and offers thoughtful input that helps move discussions forward in a practical way. She provides a reliable and supportive presence that strengthens each commission she serves. Daman makes time to stay actively involved in the community and values participating in policy and advisory work that shapes Covington's future. Her consistent service, professionalism, and genuine commitment to the community make her a strong candidate for the Volunteer of the Year. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Everybody's got the plaque. Picture.
Two, three.
Want to make any comments?
I'd like to thank everyone, and I'm truly honored to get this opportunity that I'm nominated. I like serving my time with the city and community, and I appreciate each one of you, the staff, the council, and everyone here, my peers in the commission. Because of you, like I'm here, that you open your arms and made space for me and help me serve and give me the opportunity. Thank you all.
And last but certainly not least, we have our 2025 Commissioner of the Year, David Cottle. David Cottle has been a member of the Planning Commission since 2018, including serving as chair and vice chair. We served together. David is a dedicated volunteer that continues to demonstrate steady and principled leadership. David is consistently prepared, asks meaningful questions, and dedicates significant personal time to understanding issues before the commission. His work reflects a strong commitment to addressing climate change, housing, and equity in a practical and forward-looking manner. Drawing on his executive background, he supports staff with professionalism and respect while keeping discussions aligned with the city's vision and goals. He fosters collaboration among commissioners and staff, setting a high standard for constructive public service. David's continued dedication to thoughtful growth and a thriving Covington community makes him an outstanding candidate for the Commissioner of the Year award. Thank you, David, for being such a huge component to our Planning Commission and to the city of Covington. And we'll let you have a few words.
I'm deeply honored to receive the Commissioner of the Year award. Please note that this recognition certainly does not belong to me alone. It belongs to my fellow commissioners who challenge and support one another, as well as to our consultants, to our exceptional city staff who turn policy into action every single day, and to the residents who can care enough to show up, to speak up, and to stay engaged. They all make this role worthwhile. It really is a privilege to serve, and I remain committed to doing the work with integrity, transparency, active listening, and a good sense of humor. Because if you can't keep your sense of humor in public service, you're in trouble. Thank you for this generous recognition. I'm proud to serve alongside all of you, and I look forward to continuing our work together in achieving a thriving community for all.
Each time. 1, 2, you want to look at Jeff? 1, 2, 3. One, two, three.
And in addition to the plaque they received, their name also is engraved on the plaques that are above the coffee station, so. And now we have one more proclamation, and then we'll have a break for a reception. Yeah, thank you. So next item on the agenda is a proclamation for American Red Cross Month. And I believe I don't have the name. Christine, thank you. Okay. So our proclamation for this evening, whereas for more than a century, the American Red Cross has been at the forefront of helping Americans prevent, prepare for, and respond to large and small disasters. Families and communities depend on the Red Cross in times of need, and the Red Cross depends on American people to sustain the foundation. And whereas the American Red Cross works tirelessly through its volunteers to support us during disasters or when someone needs life-saving blood or the comfort of a helping hand. It provides 24-hour support to members of the military, veterans and their families, and it provides training in CPR, aquatic safety, and first aid. And whereas the Red Cross makes our nation safer and stronger, and the city of Covington formally recognizes the critical humanitarian role of the American Red Cross in our community, now, therefore, we, the City Council of the City of Covington, do hereby proclaim March 2026 as American Red Cross Month in the City of Covington, and ask all residents to join us in this special observance to honor the King County American Red Cross's steadfast effort to keeping all of us safer and stronger. And this is the 10th day of March, 2026. Thank you so much. Do you want to make a comment too?
Yeah.
Photo first? Sure. Oh.
There we go. One more photo. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity of being able to be here with the city of Covington. I live within the city of Covington, so this is near and dear to my heart. I have had the opportunity to serve with the Red Cross now for 6 years as a volunteer, and I wanted to share just a couple of bullet points of our mission that's so important. We help to prevent and alleviate suffering. We focus on immediate aid during crisis. Mobilize volunteers and donors, utilizing community support. Disaster services, providing food, clothing, and health services. Emergency preparedness, teaching safety skills and community training. And support military families, assisting with communication and emergencies. How many of you here have ever been touched by the Red Cross? We always have someone in a room that has had that. And I'm just grateful that I get to be a part of this wonderful organization. And thanks.
And thank you so much for all that you and your organization does. One picture. We will recess for 10 minutes for a reception for our volunteers of the year, with the meeting reconvening at 7:25. 7:26, we'll re-adjourn. Thank you. Council members? Welcome back. We're reconvening after our reception for the volunteers. The next item on our agenda, we have no public communication. So we have public comment, actually. Sorry, we do have public communication. Is Christie's sticking around for? No?
That was, you did it before the reception.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I'll do it.
Thank you. We have our first of two public comment periods. Speakers will state their name, organization, and whether they are a Covington resident. Comments are to be directed to the city council, not the audience or staff. Comments are to be related to city business. Comments are not intended for conversation or debate and are limited to 4 minutes per speaker. For attendees participating by Zoom, click the raise hand button. For attendees participating by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. Once the city grants permission to speak, press unmute in Zoom or dial *6 to unmute by phone. And notice, campaigning for any ballot measure or candidate at City Hall during council meetings, including public comments, is prohibited by state law RCW 42.1, 17A.555. Do we have anybody in council chambers wishing to give public comment? There's nobody signed up on the sheet, but you're welcome to step up if you'd like. Okay, seeing nobody in person, is there anybody remote that would be interested in speaking? I don't see anybody's hand raised, so with that, we will close our first public comment and we will have another opportunity toward the end of the meeting. Next item on the agenda is to approve the consent agenda containing.
Second.
Okay. The consent agenda has been moved by Jeff and seconded by Christina. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The consent agenda is approved. Now we're moving on to new business. New business item 1 is to consider appointments to the Human Services Commission. And we held interviews this evening prior to the city council meeting. We have 6 applications and we have 5 openings on the Human Services Commission. Jeff?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Leslie Hamada to fill position number 1 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2029.
I will second that nomination.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to nominate Leslie Hamada to fill position number 1. Jeff, would you like to speak to your motion?
I've known Leslie for quite some time. I moved here in 1988 and I think I met her husband in 88, and wherever he was, Leslie was there, and they've been involved in our community, our region, across the state to do what's right and to get help to those wherever there's a need. Leslie and Glenn have found a way to help those. And she doesn't say no. She just says, what can I do next? How can I help? And so I think that she used to be on our Human Services Commission. She was our chair for a period of time. And I believe that having Leslie come back onto our Human Services Commission would be a great asset.
Thank you.
To build upon what Jeff said, she has served in so many different capacities. She says she feels a purpose when giving back to her community. And she's also in the senior demographic who has that background and lived experience in Covington and wants to help give that experience on the commission, which will help her serve. So for that and so many reasons, I second.
Great. Is there anybody else wishing to speak for or against? No? Okay, we'll move it to a vote then. All those in favor of appointing Leslie Hamada to fill position 1 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2029, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Leslie has been appointed. The next position is to fill position number 2 on the Human Services Commission. Christina?
Sure. Thank you. I move to appoint Sarah Parker.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to appoint Sarah Parker to fill position number 2 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2029. Christina, do you want to speak to your?
Yeah, Sarah has been an intricate part of the Human Services Commission for quite some time now. She's well organized. I love how she thinks. It's very clear, it's concise. She thinks outside the box. She's incredibly intelligent, and I really appreciated her perspective, well, her desire to not only address our community in the urgent crisis needs, because, well, she mentioned it as a Band-Aid, you know, to slap a Band-Aid on there, but to also get ahead of it, go upstream and see what it is that's causing this so that we can help our residents before they reach this crisis mode. So I really think she's been doing a great job, and I would like to see her continue.
Great. Jeff?
When we asked the question, what do you see as the most important function of Human Services Commission? She gave 3 reasons going off of what Christina just spoke. Is immediate solving and helping with immediate crisis needs, ready to have a dual-pronged process, and how do we stop what's happening? And 3, preventing needing other services. So basically being proactive in the community through human services and increasing transparency in the community as well. And Sarah's been on our human services and done an outstanding job, and I'd like to see her continue.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to speak for or against the nomination? Okay, let's move to a vote. To appoint Sarah Parker to fill position number 2 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2029. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Sarah Parker has been appointed to position 2. Debbie? We are going to fill position 5 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2029.
Thank you for your
Debbie.
recognition. I move to appoint Ann Manger to fill position number 5 on the Human Services Commission with the term expiring March 31st, 2029.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to appoint Ann Magner to fill position number 5 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2029. Debbie, do you wish to speak to your motion?
Thank you. I love that Ann came in and shared with us that she's only been on the commission for 1.5 years. And in that time, she's learned a lot and she's added a lot of value, but she wants to continue not only learning, but providing what she can to our residents. And she talked a lot about the citizens of our city and what we're providing to them. And then she talked about things that we all feel like we would like to see done better in our city. But she talked about having the need for a gathering space. And we did hear that from a number of applicants to serve the various needs of the community. And then when we asked her, you know, what do you see as the most important function of human services? She talked about something that has to be very difficult for them, and that is to prioritize the services that we will provide to our citizens. And the need is great out there, but she's got a great respect for that need and works hard to try to fill the services that we provide. And then also the fact that a lot of the services that we provide can't be done within the city. We need to send out for that. And she wants to strive to get those services in to our city or have our city be able to provide those services. And I think we would all agree with that.
Great, thank you. Jeff?
Going off of what Debbie said, and when Ann said she'd only been on it for a year and a half, I had to really stop and think, because you've been so involved and been out there. I thought you've been on that commission for a lot longer. And when you mentioned, we asked the question of what you would like to see in the city of Covington over the next 10 years, not just human services, but all of Covington. You wanted to see better infrastructure, brought up the community center, a gathering place, and help give those in the community, help it make it driven. And she gave an example of a city to the north of us and how that is a much more homey feeling walking through there, and would like to see that in Covington. And that would help with our human services and helping with the needs that we have.
Thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to speak for or against the motion? No? Okay, we'll move to the vote then. To appoint Ann Magner to fill position number 5 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2029. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ann Magner has been appointed to position 5. Next is to fill position 4 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2028. Jennifer.
I would like to move to appoint Jade Heron to fill position number 4 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2028. Sorry, I had a century.
It's been moved by Jennifer and seconded by Christina to appoint Jade to fill position number 4 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2028. Jennifer, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, we've done a lot of reappointments, and not that our existing commission isn't absolutely wonderful, but I'm excited to introduce a new person to the commission that has lived experience in the recovery community. I feel like this, and being someone that actually benefited directly from services here in Covington, as he stated so eloquently, brings a unique perspective.
Great, thank you. Christina?
Yeah, Jade is one of those just incredible, full circle, amazing testimonies that you don't often get to see. The fact that he manages a clean and sober house and answers text messages for addicts who are currently struggling. I mean, what an amazing person who not only when you live through something, you're just invaluable. And I think that is what he would bring to the human services. I don't know that we could ask for a more experienced commissioner in that which we are so in such need for.
Great, thank you, Christina. Does anyone else wish to make a comment? Yes, Debbie.
Thank you. I just wanted to add, I admire him for wanting to give back to our community. Given his background and his experience, he cares so much about other people that he gives so much of himself. And as Christina talked about the answering of the calls, he also mans a call center for those going through recovery that need that help. He also brought up that a lot of cities look at the problem of homelessness, but if you look at the people that are homeless, a good deal of them are in or coming out of addiction, and that we may want to really look at what we're doing to solve the addiction problem in the community ahead of the homelessness, because they are tightly tied. So I really appreciated his perspective.
Great, thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak for or against appointment? Okay. With that, we'll move to a vote to appoint Jade Heron to fill position number 4 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2028. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Jage has been appointed to position 4. Oh, yes, Jeff.
I'd like to nominate Casey Hogan for position number 7. Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2028.
Second?
I would
And-
like to recuse myself from the vote.
Okay. I'm sorry, it was Jennifer, right?
Yes.
So, it has been moved by Jeff and seconded by Jennifer to appoint Casey Hogan to fill position 7 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2028. Would you like to speak to your motion, Jeff?
Yes, I was very intrigued with Casey when he came in and spoke with us. And when we asked the question of explain why you're interested in serving on human services, he felt that the work that the Human Services Commission does is very impactful. He wants to see how we can help to increase what is out there. There is a need to do more and to help, but on the funds, he also researched our website ahead of time to find out about the commission, to find out about the budget, knowing that he needs to stay inside the budget and then making recommendations on what is best for our community. And then also working on finding ways to get grants and working with those partners to maybe work with us, even though the funding is tight.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Yes, again, bringing some new blood and fresh perspective to the commission is always good. What stood out, I think, the most from Casey's interview was, and Jeff did touch upon it, but was the role of partnering with and persuading some of these organizations to bring their services to Covington, which kind of piggybacks on what we heard from Ann and in that struggle of really determining how to support organizations that are outside of limits, but may and do offer support to Covington. So it's definitely, again, a fresh perspective. Like, let's go to them and see what we need to do to get them in town. So I really appreciated that.
Is there anybody else wishing to speak for or against the nomination? Okay, with that, we'll move to a vote. I'll do it officially. Councilmember Wagner moves and Councilmember Harjahausen seconds to appoint Casey Hogan to fill position 7 on the Human Services Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2028. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Casey has been appointed to position 7. So first, just thank you for everybody that has applied, whether you were appointed or not. It is great to see such community support for these important commissions. They really do help shape our work and give guidance to the council as well. So thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda. New business item number 2, which is to consider an appointment to the Equity, Cultural, and Social Justice Commission. Debbie.
Thank you. I'm looking for, oh, I've got it. Sorry. I move to appoint Sarah McKendricks to fill position number 7 on the Equity, Cultural, and Social Justice Commission with a term expiring on September 30th, 2027.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Debbie and seconded by Jeff to appoint Sarah McKendricks to fill position number 7 on the Equity, Cultural, and Social Justice Commission with a term expiring September 30th, 2027. Debbie, did you want to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. Sarah expressed that she has a heart for social justice. She comes with a law degree and she's worked in legal aid and also as a daughter of an immigrant family. She well understands what needs are out there. She also talked about the demographics within our city and how we can educate our community to be more welcoming to other ethnical and diverse cultures. An interesting note that none of us knew is that in 1910, in the first federal census in Covington, there were 100 residents. 30% were Japanese. In the next census, there were 0. That's very interesting. And yet things have changed so dramatically since then. We don't know how that demographic might shift, but it was just kind of a side note of how much our demographics have changed in the hundreds of years. She's very supportive of embracing our community and with inclusion and diversity. I think she'll do a great job on the commission.
Thank you, Debbie. Jeff?
Speaking with Sarah and listening to her answers to the questions, skills and qualities that she'll bring to this commission is she has a heart for people. She wants to help educate and for her to also learn from the community. One thing, so she came from California. She had a legal aid background serving underserved communities. She served at-risk youth at a local shelter, many of whom were on the streets because they were kicked out of their homes for coming out as gay or trans. And she was informed about racial inequities. But one of the things that she said that hit home, because I used to help with these organizations in this area, is she would go out of her way to help those coming out of human trafficking. That is a very difficult job because a lot of times when you help someone get out of it, they unfortunately fall right back into it. So that, and then she also found out about our commissions on our Facebook and then went in and researched it on the website and wanting to bring more cultural awareness.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? No? Okay, let's take it to a vote then. To appoint Sarah McKendricks to fill position number 7 on the Equity, Cultural, and Social Justice Commission with a term expiring September 30th, 2027. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes and Sarah has been appointed to fill position 7. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the proposed Metropolitan Park District update. And for that, we'll turn it over to staff member Ethan Newton.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. Just bear with me a moment as I figure out how to share my screen. Let's try this. That looks like success. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let me find my notes. Okay, this update is being provided to share additional information prepared since the Council's January Strategic Planning Summit and to confirm proceeding with the plan to place the formation of a Metropolitan Park District, which we are calling Covington Park and Recreation District, on the August 4, 2026 ballot and to proceed with the development of informational materials. There are 12 slides that I'll run through, and then we can take questions and council may discuss. We all know that Covington's parks, trails, and recreation programs bring joy to families, strengthen neighborhoods, and enhance quality of life. However, there is currently no dedicated and sustainable funding to maintain and expand the city's park system, despite the growing need for more accessible and high-quality parks, trails, and recreation facilities to support our community's health, recreation, and quality of life. Without dedicated and sustainable funding, there will be far fewer opportunities to build new play areas, trails, and sports fields, and the care of parks will be hard-pressed to be improved or could even be at risk to deteriorate. So how do we establish a new Parks and Recreation District? Washington state law allows for the formation of metropolitan park districts, which in our case, we are naming Covington Park and Recreation District. Following City Council passing a resolution to place the measure on a ballot, Covington voters will then make the decision to create or not the Covington Parks and Recreation District. Why do we need a Parks and Recreation District? As prices continue to increase for the city's other general fund expenditures like police and public safety, the portion available for parks and recreation increasingly becomes at risk. Any reduction in parks and recreation funding would be a detriment to park and trail development and result in lower levels of park maintenance, community events, and parks and recreation programs. By forming by forming Covington Parks and Recreation District, the community will have ongoing sustainable funding specifically for local Covington Parks and Recreation. Is this a common solution for parks and recreation? The challenge of funding parks and recreation is not really unique to Covington. This slide lists 23 other Washington state communities that have formed districts to help fund their local parks and recreation. The next couple slides will address the question of how much will this cost. Establishing the Covington Park and Recreation District will be a property tax. In order to show how that impacts Covington property owners, it is helpful to take a look at the current breakdown of property taxes in Covington as a bit of a benchmark. We have a pie chart that shows who receives the property taxes collected. Schools receive 56%, King County 16%, the fire district 10%, the city receives 8%, and then the remaining 10% is split amongst the Port of Seattle, King County EMS, King County Library, and the local hospital district. This slide shows what the impact would be to Covington property taxes if the Covington Parks and Recreation District is formed, based on the initial rate of 37 cents per 1,000 assessed value. It's worth mentioning that when I shared this information with the Parks and Rec Commission, some of them did not realize that the city received so little of the overall property tax, and they thought it important and compelling to share the impact of the proposed MPD property tax alongside the other property taxes, as it provides some context and shows the impact relative to others. I believe you've seen this information before, but it is essentially a summary of a survey we did this past year that included determining the community's priorities, so we could make sure the proposed Covington Park and Recreation District focused on the top priorities of the community. The upcoming slides that show the plan for allocating funds uses this information and input from the community. So what's the plan? What is the key information that we all need to know and that will likely be important to most voters? This slide covers the basics. Covington voters will decide whether or not to create the Covington Park and Recreation District at the August election. The district boundaries will be the same as Covington city limits. The elected Covington City Council will serve as the board of the Covington Parks and Recreation District. The initial property tax for the Covington Parks and Recreation District will be 37 cents per 1,000 of assessed value, which is approximately 50% of the allowed maximum rate of 75 cents per 1,000 assessed value. This slide shows what the annual operating budget would look like. The initial idea is that this would supplement, not supplant, existing levels of funding for parks and recreation in order to improve park maintenance levels of service and support park and trail improvements. This means that the funds would be in addition to what the city already budgets for parks. However, if the future city's general fund is unable to continue to support parks and recreation at current levels in the district funds, then the district funds could be used to avoid cutting parks and recreation maintenance and operation levels. The first line is for park maintenance improvements. By creating the Covington Park and Recreation District, park maintenance levels of service will be increased, resulting in safer, cleaner, and greener parks and trails. Park maintenance activities include litter and garbage pickup, restroom cleaning, lawn and field mowing and care, shrub, plant, and tree care, playground safety inspections, equipment repairs, and much, much more. A higher level of park maintenance prevents hazardous conditions such as damaged equipment, while enhancing community aesthetics, reducing crime through better visibility, and maximizing life cycle of park elements, effectively reducing long-term capital replacement costs. The dollar amount is equivalent to 2 FTEs and a 10% increase in the existing park maintenance budget. The second line is for planning for a future whole health community center, which would include a new aquatic center. By creating Covington Parks and Recreation District, the planning for a whole health community center will continue, but it's important to note that this formation of the district is not sufficient on its own to build this facility. However, it is critical to advancing planning and for future opportunities to fund the facility. The dollar amount supports various planning activities, including development of partnerships, master planning the site, refining design, and securing funding. The next line, support services, is for the district share of internal organizational services. Things like IT, HR, finance, legal, executive services. And then the next line is debt services. This is the annual payment to repay 20-year general obligation bonds used to finance the Covington Parks and Recreation District Capital Improvement Plan 2027 through 2032. We'll dive into that more on the next slide. And then the capital reserve line would include any unallocated year-end balance and be used to support the district's capital improvement plan, including repairing, replacing, and updating park elements at the end of their life cycle and supporting the ongoing development of the district's park system. By creating Covington Parks and Recreation District, Covington's park system will have funding necessary for park improvements and expansion. This slide summarizes the capital improvement plan for the first 6 years of the district based upon issuance and repayment of a 20-year general obligation bond. Covington Community Park sports field improvements at $4.6 million. This would provide an increased amount of sports field time to better meet the demand for different sports, things like soccer, flag football, sports camps. It also increased field use for all ages, youth, teens, adults, and seniors, and different types of user groups from the city programs to clubs and schools. The Jenkins Creek Park improvements at $3.1 million would be used to increase safety with improved sightlines, added trails, restoration of the oak prairie and riparian habitat, protection of mature trees, and the addition of new park features, things like the park shelters and play areas. Jenkins Creek Trail improvements at $3.4 million. This will be used to develop the next segment of the shared use trail to provide recreational opportunities for all ages. This segment will become part of the local trail network and a future connection between two different parts of the county's regional trail system. Those trails being the Sioux Creek Trail and the Cedar River Trail. Founders Park improvements at $3 million to make improvements to better serve the higher density housing area of Covington's downtown, with things like play areas, pickleball courts, trails, park shelters, while protecting mature trees and also providing additional parking. It is important to note that non-MPD funds such as county levy proceeds, grants, etc., may reduce or supplement these amounts. $2 million of non-MPD funds have already been secured to reduce the total amount estimated for the 20-year general obligation bonds to be $12.1 million. In addition to the deliverables of park and trail projects and improved park maintenance, we can describe the benefits of forming Covington Park and District the following way. It will provide dedicated and stable park and recreation funding. It will provide enhanced park maintenance and safety. It will provide improved park amenities. It will provide economic and social benefits by fostering local economic development, increasing property values, and improving public health by providing recreational opportunities. It will also provide local control by targeting specific local needs for parks and recreation, and the state and county cannot take away or control any of these district funds. So that's the end of the 12 slides. We can try and answer any questions you may have, but otherwise we're just looking for direction to proceed unless the City Council has any other direction for staff.
Okay. Thank you. Ethan, does anybody have any questions? Debbie?
Thank you. On one of the slides, well, I think in a couple of places it states that we would start with the 0.37%. And it can create, we've got the opportunity to increase it to 0.75. But would we be able to express to residents when might that happen? Because as a resident, I would wonder, okay, if you're going to start it at 0.37 next year, are you going to up it to the max?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was discussed some at the summit. The state law provides the governing board the authority to change that levy amount. It can change, you can lower it down to whatever you want. You can increase it up to 75 cents. That's the cap. I think in the messaging materials, it's probably safe to communicate that we're choosing that midpoint because that's what the capital projects are based off of. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's really a way to limit that. That's not really how it's set up.
Yeah, it's entirely determined by the council. So this council can't bind a future council 10 years down the road
Right.
in that
Mhm,
decision.
mhm, mhm.
Okay, but thank you. That helps explain that at the midpoint, that gets us to the operating budget dollars that we need. Did you have I've got another question, but did you have something? Okay.
Okay.
So it mentioned the whole health community center. And some of the funding is $200,000 would go towards that. But in the capital improvement plan, it didn't mention the whole health community center. So where would that, in that operating plan of how we're building everything out, there was no mention of the aquatic center or whole health. So how do we explain where that money's going to come from or go?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it's not part of the capital improvement plan that's got presented. It's in the operating budget. So that $200,000 is just to advance planning activities. Basically, to get that project where we've defined roles with partners that we're trying to bring on board with that project. And then also develop a high-level design and cost estimate and information that would be necessary to go back out to the community and ask them if they want to fund it. We're still a fair ways away from that, so it's a little too hard to map that out, and the revenue is just not sufficient in forming an MPD on its own to pay for $100 million facility. It just doesn't work. So that would be a future vote potentially that would go back out to the community if that was decided to have a bond specific for a facility like that.
Okay, thank you.
Christina?
No, I think you answered my question. When we were on the steering committee, of the aquatic center years ago with Jeff, we did have presentations of the costs, and I'm going to assume that like everything else that just went up, but that, I think you answered my question. There were presentations of what it would cost and what it would, the different variations of what it could look like. But it is going to go out for a separate NPD or a separate funding source when we finally establish and lock in.
Yeah, I think, it's a little bit speculative at this point because there would be a lot of decisions between where we are now with that project and a point where you would be going back out to the voters to ask for funding for it. But you wouldn't necessarily have to form another MPD. You could use the bonding capacity of the MPD. You just have to go out for approval from the voters to take on that debt.
Sure. Okay, thank you so much. Because I think the original aquatic center is what started the conversation for the MPD. So, and then we've kind of had new needs, but thank you.
Is there anybody else that has any questions? Ethan, if I might, and this is probably also for, well, maybe Mark and Regan, there's almost two separate types of communication, right? There's the communication that we're talking about with the public, with the initial intent of the 37 cents per thou. If we make the decision to move forward to put it on a ballot, there was a little bit of a question about whether we could use that verbiage in the actual ballot measure itself. Can you clarify, like I said, maybe it's a Mark or Regan question, if we're talking about it at that level? I know there was a little bit of debate on what we should be doing on the ballot measure itself.
Sure, I can speak to that first and then you or Mark can jump in. But yeah, I think we kind of hit pause on trying to solve that at the summit. And then in my discussions with Mark, that is really more of a legal question and something that he's working on with outside counsel that will really dictate what that language will be.
Okay.
But I'm happy to have the legal expert chime in if you want, Mark.
I'm happy to say a few words on this. My recollection from the summit was that council was concerned about the transparency of what the rate could be. And the way that we would draft the ballot measure would have the language that we would be allowed to put in there by state law. And the explanatory statement, which is the neutral statement of what we're asking the voters to do, would include the 0.75 maximum, no matter what we phrase the ballot measure as. And that's to make sure that there is transparency for the public to be able to see exactly what the effect of the MPD is. And in the voter's pamphlet, the explanatory statement is placed directly adjacent to the ballot measure. So it would be covered in the city's materials, no matter how we ended up drafting it.
But I guess the more specific question too is that if there was an intention to start it at the 37 cents, can that also be included, even though we know that, like to Regan's point, we can't hold future councils to whatever we do, but to at least prepare folks for what would possibly be the first round of collection on that, I guess.
Yes, I understand your point now. Thank you.
Mhm.
We would be able to put the language in of the 0.37 cents as the initial
Okay,
entry point.
okay, thank you. Okay, no other questions for staff? Okay, so you're looking for what consensus of moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, this was really just a opportunity to kind of bring back to you a little bit more refined plan following the council summit. So our next steps are to prepare that resolution to bring back to you in April. And we just wanted to make sure we're basically on the same page as council before we did that. And so if there's no other redirection, then that's what we'll do.
Are we all thumbs up on that? It looks like a consensus, thumbs up from all of
Okay,
us.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so next item on the agenda, number 4, consider an ordinance amending chapter 3.10, the Covington Municipal Code, authorizing a House B 2015 criminal justice sales and use tax of 0.1%. Casey.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. So like you mentioned before you tonight is an ordinance to potentially adopt the criminal justice sales tax that was put forth as part of the HB 2015 of 0.1%. So this was brought forth in April of 2025, and it allows qualifying cities and counties to impose the additional 0.1% sales and use tax for criminal justice purposes. And we have until June 30th, 2028 to adopt this if we want to move forward. Just a little bit more information for criminal justice purposes. They define those activities as anything that would substantially assist the criminal justice system, including services that benefit civil justice or behavioral health systems. And there's a little bit of a laundry list there that I won't go through unless you have questions. Another criteria in order to implement the sales tax is the tax can only be collected if the city meets all the requirements to also apply for the grant or to apply for the grant. So there's 2 components to the HB 2015. There's the sales tax component and there's a grant component. So again, there's a long laundry list of grant criteria, but the most important thing that I want to mention is that the city meets all of the requirements to receive the grant through the local law enforcement grant program, which is administered through the criminal justice. Ooh, I just forgot the T part. Thank you. Training Commission. Through our contract with King County. So King County was given notification from the CJTC, we'll just abbreviate that, on January 26th that they had received final approval and qualified for the grant, which in turn as a contract city means that we also qualify for the grant, which means we can do the sales tax if we would like. So this proposed ordinance would impose, again, like I said, the 0.1% sales and use tax to support criminal justice programs and services. It would be effective July 1st, 2026, if the city council takes action by April 16th of this year, 2026. If approved, the proceeds would be deposited into the general fund and appropriated as part of the budget process to offset increases in public safety costs, including but not limited to public defender, jail, court, and police contracts. And I will mention these are restricted funds. I will track them down to the penny. They can only be used for the allowed purposes. And we also are required to do an annual reporting to the Association of Washington Cities to tell them how we've expended those funds annually. Estimate that the additional sales tax will generate approximately $725,000 annually per year. The sales tax would, like I mentioned, would take effect on July 1st, with the city receiving its first distribution in September. There's a 2-month lag on sales tax distributions. So for 2026, on an accrual basis, we would estimate we would receive half of that, so $362,500. And all I mean by accrual basis is the money that comes in January and February of 2027, I would put back in this year. So you would have the full half year that would be reported in 2026. So that was it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions, go over any of the grant criteria, anything you may have.
Any questions for Casey? Or comments? Oh, yes, Riley.
I had a question regarding the tax numbers that you're talking about. I believe you said 775,000.
725,000.
725.
Correct.
Is that all just the sales tax numbers, or does that include the grant money as well that we would receive?
That's just sales tax.
Just so on top of that, we would receive grant money?
If we apply. So I can
Okay.
give you just an update on that since we're discussing it. We had anticipated not applying for the grant until the next round, which was going to be in August, because it closed at the end of February. They just extended it to March 31st. So we are going to apply for those grant funds early, because we've got a little extra time. So we're meeting with the county tomorrow, and then we're meeting with our community care program folks, Julie and Darren, to come up with a grant proposal to submit to the CJTC.
And just one of the reasons about meeting with the county, if you recall, the bill requires that if you're a contract city, the county has to apply for the grant on your behalf. So the contract cities are getting together so they can do like a collective grant agreement to the CJTC.
Okay.
Understood. That answers my question. Thank you.
Okay. So before us, we have council action to, does anybody want to make a motion? Okay, Debbie?
I make a motion to approve, that we approve the authorization of the ordinance for House Bill 2015 criminal justice sales tax and use of 1/10%.
Okay.
Second.
Seconded by Christina. Debbie, do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
At the budget meeting, and we have seen the increasing need for an additional officer, at least one more. We opted to go ahead and authorize the hiring of an additional officer through King County Sheriff's Office with the understanding and hope that we would be eligible to apply for the grant, and two, because they go hand in hand, authorize the implementation of the sales tax so that the two together will help offset the cost of an additional officer.
Christina?
Sure.
Mhm.
As unfortunate as it is to raise taxes, this is one that I strongly believe in, and the need for some stability in our public safety environment is increasing. Our residents are feeling it. Our businesses are feeling it. These are regulated funds. Nope, Casey's another word. Restricted. Thank you. And to the penny, we heard it.
Mhm.
These are going to go exactly where they're supposed to go, and we are in dire need. So I support.
Jennifer?
I'd just like to add, I don't think any of us, though I don't speak on behalf of council, I speak as an individual, don't like to raise taxes. And, but knowing that it's 0.1%, so those of us that like math, I thought Christina would mention this 0.001.
$18.
It's $1 on $1,000 spend, and it does not apply to groceries, and, it's the TVs at Costco and stuff. Not that those aren't important. But I think that allows it also to rest easier with us, and also use the funds in a way that we know is high need, and that there's language in the bill that supports some of that proactive action that we were talking about earlier in some of the interviews to keep people out of the criminal justice system. So
That's
right.
I support the motion.
Did you want to say? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think we've all kind of said the thing that, nobody wants to raise taxes, and sales tax is a little bit of a different beast. It is a little bit of a smaller bite. And as we're out in the community, the one thing that we hear from businesses and homeowners and all spectrum is that we really need to make sure our community is safe. And so the officer is the one step that we were looking at doing in 2026, but it's also potential court costs, and we, without putting too fine of a point on it, and nothing has been passed for this budget session yet, we are likely to see our costs go up significantly and potentially have additional funding sources being taken away from us as a city. So for us to advocate for our residents and our businesses and our community partners to do what we need to do to shore up funding so that we have that at our disposal to keep our community safe, I think is something that, while most people are not comfortable with, but they're happy with. I mean, they'd rather have that than the alternative. So, okay, so we, before us is a motion. It's been moved by Councilmember Hartsock and seconded by Councilmember Soltis to pass an ordinance amending Chapter 3.10 of the Covington Municipal Code, authorizing House Bill 2015 criminal justice sales and use tax of 1/10%.
It was moved by Debbie.
Hartsock.
Oh, my bad.
Okay.
I thought you said-
All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes.
I know.
On to new business. Item number 5 is to approve the 2026 action items summit list. Regan.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Can you hear me? I feel like my mic's not on.
Yeah.
You heard all right?
Seemed low, but
Okay. I'll get up in it. Oh, that's.
You
Turn
did
it up.
get up in it.
indeed.
So as you know, we had our summit in January. From that, we develop a summit summary. And then from that summit summary, we pull all of the action items out that council came up with for the year and put them together in this document, which is our summit action items for 2026. There are 16 total action items with many sub-action items under several of those. Obviously, from our agenda tonight, we've already begun working on these action items and we'll continue to do so throughout the year. So at this point, happy to take any questions if council has any.
Does it, oh, sorry. Councilmember Harshausen.
Sure. I did have one question when I was looking over this regarding the flock cameras. Someone had mentioned, and I'm not sure that, we necessarily discussed to reach consensus, but someone had mentioned potentially putting together some language as an ordinance or policy from the city of Covington. We heard the chief and definitely appreciate that he's not sharing flock camera data with, other agencies. But given the amount of feedback that we've gotten from residents and the concerns and the significance of flock cameras in the media, and also our need to use data, to catch criminals, I think it would be helpful to have some language of our own that we can stand up to our residents and say, we hear you, and this is what we're doing to prevent the data from leaving Covington.
Yeah, someone may have discussed that. It didn't end up in the summit summary, so I don't recall that. But that's something we can do, even though it's already state law. The Keep Washington Working Act is our policy for flock and other things. But
I think the legislation that just passed today actually has that as a requirement. So we're probably going to need to be doing it anyway. So
Okay. Yeah. I mean, as a council member, I'm much more comfortable and confident saying Covington's taking care of it versus leaving it to another legislative body. So that's my
yeah. Well, we can do that if that's something council wants to add to this. We can for sure do that. And also we'll be reviewing obviously the new law around this once it's signed and see how that impacts our system.
Yeah, I think being able to protect the use and function of the flock cameras is a high enough priority to put some language behind it.
I want to echo that concern. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we're gonna.
So I'm looking for a majority of council to support that.
Yeah, I would too as well.
Sure, even though.
Basically taking the language that we follow for the act, but make it, like Jennifer said,
Yeah.
personalizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Covington says, even though it says Washington says, we put Covington
Mhm.
says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so hopefully it's not too much of a lift for staff.
Just replace it.
Well, it sounds like we're
Washington
gonna be
with
required
Covington.
to do it anyway.
Yeah, just it's helpful for consistent messaging with, constituents and that. Okay. All right, so, let me grab.
I'd like to make a motion to
thank you.
approve the 2026 Summit Action Items list as presented, which shall then be recorded as the 2026 City Manager Merit Goals.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved by Jeff and seconded by Debbie to approve the 2026 Summit Action Item List as presented, which, with the amendment of the addition of the text, for the flock cameras, which shall then be recorded as the 2026 City Manager Merit Goals. All of those well, Jeff, did you want to speak to your motion?
I just appreciate the way the list is laid out. It's very easy to follow. So I'm all for it.
Debbie, would you wish to speak to your second?
I agree.
Okay, great.
It's very thorough.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? No? Okay, all of those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes and our Summit item agenda list for meetings merit goals is approved. Okay, so next item is the future agenda items. We do have the next meeting's agenda. Is there anything else that anyone would like to have added to a future agenda item?
Nope.
No. Okay. Next we'll move on to council staff comments. Please give me grace as I go through this. How about Mark? Let's start with you.
I've never been lucky number one before.
Hey, you're the first one
That's a
on
privilege.
the left.
There's no executive session tonight, and I have no additional comment. Thank you so much.
Oh, Dawn?
No.
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Selena?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. I have nothing tonight. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Chief?
Nothing from me tonight. Thank you.
Okay, Ethan?
Nothing more from me tonight. Thank
My
you.
goodness. Casey?
Nothing for me tonight. Thank you.
Regan?
Should I keep the ball going?
Whatever whatever.
No, I just wanted to quickly talk about our first Friday pool party. I know council's aware of it, but it was a really wonderful event. About half of the participants were high school and about half were middle school students. So we did get the flyer out to the middle school principals yesterday, and they've already pushed them out on their social
I got
media.
my text.
Oh, did you get it?
I got it via text.
Oh,
yeah.
good, good. So excited about it. We, obviously we had 44 youth that attended that, so that's great, and hopefully we keep building on it. I did survey the youth for the types of games they want there, so we got those ordered this week, and we'll have them for the next one.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Krista?
I have nothing tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Christina?
Nothing from me tonight. Thank you.
Riley?
I want to keep that ball rolling.
Jeff?
I have nothing tonight.
Jennifer?
I have State of the City tomorrow, so it just, I'm right after you, I think. So it's a little nerve wracking if you need any
You're a
support.
pro.
I did mine today.
Riley, Jeff and Christina are like, whatever, it's fine. But that's tomorrow. And then I'm also gonna stop by and see the Emergency Operations Control Center situation. So I just had to say a couple things.
Debbie?
I would just like to let everyone know that tomorrow night, the Covington Rotary has the We the People debate team coming to speak. I don't, if you've never heard them, it's quite an education. So these are students that know the US Constitution inside and out. You can try and trip them up with any question or item, and they will debate it live. So if you're free tomorrow night, I would invite you to come out and join us. We're going to be at Affinity Senior Housing at 5:30 p.m. The presentation will start. So we actually get there at 5 and have a little social, and then they'll start at 5:30. But we've been waiting a long time to get them to join us. They are supported by Tahoma High School, but they're part of a national debate competition, and they're going to state in Maryland in April. So,
Are they from Tahoma? Are they our local students?
yes,
Oh, that's exciting.
yeah.
Mhm.
And if you need any other details, just let me know. That's all I had.
Great, thank you. I will slip into that meeting for a little bit at Rotary just to watch those young adults, but I won't be able to stay probably for the whole thing because we have our SCA, our Sound Cities Association PIC meeting tomorrow evening. So I know that Regan forwarded some information. There's a hot topic that we're going to be voting on tomorrow, and normally, and I'm learning the committee, but normally when there's issues to vote on, they have a two-touch approach where they talk about it, debate it, and then they have time to come back later and vote. But because it's kind of a timely issue, it's the Transportation Benefit District sales tax that the county, King County's Transportation Benefit District is considering new revenue options to address funding needs for unincorporated county roads and the King County metro area. And SCA staff expect the King County Transportation Benefit District board members to approve a councilmatic 0.1% sales tax for unincorporated roads as soon as late March. SCA staff have prepared a policy statement for approval by PIC, which will give direction on SCA member priorities during upcoming conversations. And so they're just looking to see, they've asked us to share this information with our peers, and as a voting member, I would be inclined to vote however we feel, if I have consensus to say, yes, we support it, or no. And the other thing, thanks, Jeff, the thing to think about as well is that our King County Councilmember Regan Dunn has a lot of unincorporated King County in his district. And so, he does a lot for us and has given a lot of money to our city. So it might be nice to support this for him, because I know he's concerned about some of the roads out in our area that would benefit from this. But so are we, can I ask for consensus on? Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you. And then, yeah, I will be at the Emergency Operations Center tomorrow. Right, quick, just to see it set up. It'll probably be 4 o'clock. I'll probably be here by myself, but that's okay. I think that's it. Once again, just thank you to everybody that applied and interviewed for the commission reports, because it's for the commission spots, because it's a lot of work they put in and they volunteer their time. So, okay, so we'll move on to our second public comment. Speakers, again, will state their name, organization, and whether they are a Covington resident. Comments are directed to City Council, not the audience or staff. Comments are to be related to city business. They are not intended for conversation or debate and are limited to 4 minutes per speaker. For attendees participating by Zoom, click the raise hand button. If you're participating by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. And once the city grants permission to speak, press unmute in Zoom or *6 to unmute by phone. Notice that campaigning for any ballot measure or candidate at City Hall or during City Council meetings, including public comment, is prohibited by state law RCW 42.17A.555. Is there anybody in the audience wishing to speak? No? And I only see 2 people attending virtually. Is anybody virtually interested in speaking? Okay. No one's raised their virtual hand. Okay, and we do not have an executive session. So with that, we will adjourn the meeting at 8:29 p.m.